Hey guys, Left in the South podcast episode 18. What is up, Dougie?
What's up, man?
Whichever you like to
It's been an exciting and terrifying week, man. I'm excited to talk about this.
So much shit, dude. It is actually doomsday. Fucking the world's ending.
Yeah.
And fuck. But first of all,
we're all going down together.
Yeah. And before we get into that, sub to our YouTube channel, we just launched our YouTube channel, I believe 3 weeks ago. If you haven't checked it out, give us a little sub. I'll kiss you on the cheek if you do. That's a promise. We just uploaded episode 1 of this game we just started playing called Death Trap Dungeon. And so far we're liking it.
It's like an interactive, like D&D kind of experience. It's pretty slow paced. But honestly, like with the YouTube channel, we're probably going to be doing a lot of like experimental stuff. So don't be surprised if it's like some weird shit.
Yeah, we are gamers, like we want to, like I feel like we should incorporate at least some games into this little, this little hobby we got here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, cause it's something we do in our free time. It's like a cool way to express ourselves and like, I don't know. It's fun. It's always fun.
Everyone loves. I personally rather watch someone play a game than actually play it myself. I save money, and the game plays itself.
Exactly, and you can actually make money. You can actually make money by watching our YouTube channel. Tell them how, David.
You're talking about the giveaway?
I don't know. Am I?
Well, our Twitter giveaway, we are actually extending it for a whole nother week. A whole nother week, you say? Yes. So this giveaway was supposed to end on March 14th, but we're going to extend that giveaway another week just for those people who haven't gotten in yet, can get in right now. 1 week left, is closing this Friday, and we'll be selecting our 5 winners. 1 winner from Patreon and 4 winners from the public giveaway. If you're wondering how to get into that Patreon giveaway, head over on Patreon, pledge $1. That's all it takes, and you're automatically in.
Yep, so you have been gifted from the gods of Left in the South an extra 7 days to enter this giveaway. Do not squander this opportunity.
Do not. You've been warned. But with all that fucking out of the way, how are you doing, dude? I mean, it's been 1 week. I feel like we really only talk like when we record, bro.
Yeah, sometimes we have these times where we're just like missing each other, like we're like playing games by ourselves, like not seeing each other. Yeah, this week was definitely one of those weeks. I mean, honestly though, man, I'm doing well. Like, I'm pretty nervous. We're going to talk about all the shit that's been going on later, but just in my own personal life, like this week, or today actually, I called out of work because my girlfriend and I we're really nervous about this whole situation that's going on.
Like Corona, bro. I really want to... I'm a manager at the fucking location I work at, and I really want to call out and just not be at work, but I literally can't.
Yeah.
Literally
for sure.
Can't. And it sucks.
Yeah, I called out. My girlfriend and I had a really long discussion about this, and I basically told her, I'm like, there's a chance that if I call out today and next weekend when I'm supposed to work next, there's a chance they're just gonna fire me. And I'm like, we talked about, what that would be like, can we handle it? Can we financially be okay? And we both decided we can pull this off. Even if they do fire me, I hope they don't, because I like this job better than, some other shitty job I might have instead. But I'm ready for that if that's what it comes to. And I don't know. It's been a stressful week. I'm not going to lie. The whole world feels like it's falling apart around us.
I feel you, brother.
Is failing.
Had a rough week as well. Worrying about my parents since they're in Egypt and shit. Don't want them to get sick,
Do they have to come home, by the way, because of that travel ban that Trump
did? They were supposed to come home Saturday, but they were like, you came from France, you can't. You have to take a plane to Miami, or so they went to London or they were in London trying to go back home, but they're like, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. So they actually got denied coming home.
Yeah, and they say you have to take a plane to Miami because Miami isn't quarantined because apparently Orlando, a TSA worker was tested positive for Corona.
That's insane. I didn't even hear about this.
TSA work. Yeah, this is pretty fresh actually. And dude, a TSA worker, they're constantly in contact with other people. He could have single-handedly fucking infected all of Florida. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think the number is I believe I read it was 138,000 people uh, are moving through the Orlando airport
Wow,
per day.
that's absolutely insane.
So
Wow,
imagine how much
unbelievable.
person like you can catch corona with by a person who isn't even showing symptoms.
Yeah, that's the really big issue. That's why I'm so worried about it. And like to the point where I feel like maybe even
Yeah,
I have it, you know?
CDC is telling people to stay inside. Like if you're sick, stay indoor. I mean, if you're not sick, stay indoors, isolate yourself, because even if you're a young person, like isolate yourself because you're more worried about infecting other people who are more vulnerable to
Right.
corona.
Exactly. That's the most
Like
important thing.
I've been God, I wanted to stay home yesterday because I'm like, dude, what if I catch it and like give it to my sister, and her sister gives it
Yeah.
her friends, and I give it to my parents or some
It's
shit
just an
like that.
exponential thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
You don't
like
have to just worry about who you're in contact with.
every 2 days the cases double.
Yeah. And absolutely insane. Yeah, like we're gonna talk more about this corona situation in depth, but like yeah, I mean it's a scary time, man. I don't know.
Yeah, but I want to talk about the Super Tuesday Part Two, since that's gonna be a shorter conversation. I feel.
Yeah, for sure. So how are you feeling after that? Like, did you pay close attention on the night it was happening, or were you kind of like
Uh,
disconnected?
um, I came in thinking that Bernie probably could win at least the majority of the states, but
Yep.
unfortunately, he did not. Only winning, I believe, two states or three states.
Yeah. By the end of it, yeah, two states, and I mean he cut it pretty close in a lot of places, like Michigan, for example. It was a pretty close race, but unfortunately, yeah, Joe managed to out on top. And
Yeah.
like I don't want us to get stuck on this whole thing again. Like I'm talking about how
Did we
people are
did we talk
being
about Elizabeth
doomers.
Warren dropping? Elizabeth Warren? When she
Yeah, yeah,
dropped
yeah. We talked about
today?
that in the last episode.
Yeah.
She dropped,
But
and
she didn't endorse anybody, I believe, when
yeah,
the so she still hasn't endorsed anybody. And honestly, her not endorsing Bernie is the same as her endorsing Biden. Her endorsing Biden.
absolutely,
It's
absolutely.
it's honestly a shame to her progressive campaign, and like if you got also Andrew Yang endorsing Biden, that's also pretty. I don't think we talked about that. That was pretty new.
No, we didn't. And actually, this is some
Um,
pretty fresh news from today. Did you see his Twitter account? He's basically like
yeah,
responding to
yeah, I
Bernie's
saw that.
supporters,
That
saying
was weird.
like that was weird. I don't get why he's doing this. He's basically saying like someone responded to one of his tweets saying like I wish you had supported Bernie, and
Yeah, me
Yang basically
too.
responded by saying like yeah, me
There
too.
was
It's
four
like
different
what do you
tweets, I
mean?
believe.
Yeah,
Like
he's saying me too, and I
Andrew
understand.
Yang blink 3 times if you're fucking the DNC captured you.
Yeah, for real. I don't know. That was a weird decision for me. Like from him, I guess
Yeah.
like I of course I have like this deep seated mistrust of capitalists and fucking tech
Yeah.
moguls and stuff. So I never really
If you're
trusted
an Andrew
Yang to
Yang
say the
fan,
least.
Bernie supporters, we welcome you with open arms, of
Yeah,
course.
absolutely. I
You
don't
know.
think that we're that different, to be honest. Like
Yeah, I was
we all are
actually
addressing the
pretty
same issue.
excited and looking forward for Andrew in 2024. And
Yeah,
it's sad to see. I don't. Well, I mean, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Apparently, he's also going through some shit right now.
I think that this actually segues into a thing that I wanted to discuss with you, and it's the idea that like basically I have heard of Liz Warren that in fact it's not actually that bad for her to not endorse Bernie, because the idea is that rather than endorse Bernie, because everyone thinks like okay, Biden is gonna win no matter what. A lot of
Mhm.
people are saying that. I don't agree with that take, but a lot of people think that, and I would say most people think that. And so
Okay.
I think a lot of people who were ex Warren supporters or even Bernie supporters are saying like it's not a big deal that Warren is not endorsing him because she has the opportunity to pull Biden to the left. And like I just want to say right now it's like
Huh?
who do
Pull
you
Biden to the
trust?
left?
Yeah,
What do
basically
you
by
mean by
like
that?
forcing him forcing his campaign to agree to certain policy positions. Like for example, she disagrees with him about bankruptcy. So she might go to Biden and say, "Hey, I will endorse you or campaign for you aggressively if you agree to take up this policy position that me and my supporters are very interested in." And I mean, this is a common thing that happens all the time in
I mean,
politics. Like
honestly, I'm gonna tell you right now,
it's
I
quid
don't
pro
give a
quo.
shit. And like, The main problem with Biden is that he's a man of no policy, and he's gonna lose against Trump. I mean,
And I don't trust him. That's the thing. And a lot of people are saying, yeah, she can push him to the left. No matter what comes out of his mouth, I don't trust him. That's the thing. He could
did you
literally
see
say
his live
tomorrow.
stream? That's also pretty fucking trash, dude.
Hilarious, dude.
Where he I guess he forgot he was he forgot about having to be in frame, and he just
Yeah.
fucking starts walking, looks to the
He
fucking his
wandered
right.
off camera like a dementia patient in the hallways of a fucking nursing
They're
home.
like,
dude.
cut it, and they put up his fucking campaign logo.
Unbelievable.
That was
Yeah,
hilarious.
dude. And his fucking eye is drooping in that video. I don't know. I don't want to diagnose him with anything, but dude, that video, I just don't understand how people can see that and not fucking wonder
God, dude,
what's going on.
I'm worried
with this
about
man.
fucking Corona literally could wipe out both fucking candidates.
Yeah, God, what would even happen in that case? Actually, I wanted to ask you this.
Warren fucking comes back, or Tulsi Gabbard
Pete
fucking comes
Buttigieg.
back.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
Tulsi! She's the only other. Holy
She's
shit,
camping
dude!
the circle, dude.
Oh my God, she's camping the storm, bro. That's actually
Uh,
insane. She's using health kits right now. Oh my
Right?
God, that is
God.
insane. I wanted to ask you this though. What do you think? How do you think the world would react if a major leader died to corona, like Trump? Just today, actually, he got tested for corona, and they
Yeah.
said that it was negative. But that happened within 8 hours, and the test allegedly is supposed to take 2 days. So I'm curious if that's even real.
Wow.
But they said he was negative. But I'm
Dude,
just
yeah,
wondering,
because Trump
how do you
was
think
in
people would
contact with
react?
someone who had corona.
Right. With many people. There were 4
Yeah.
people that had contact with Trump.
And
that
the
are
Rick
confirmed
Scott self quarantine, and someone else
Yep.
self quarantine.
Yeah, and that other Republican guy. I forget his name right now. But yeah, but
Interesting,
what do you
man.
think? How do you think the world would react if he died to it? Because he's an old man and he's not in great shape. I mean, it's not impossible
yeah.
for that to happen.
It's probably fucking likely. Yeah, it's fucking. I mean, if he dies to corona, fuck, that would be bad because then Mike Pence would become president.
Yeah, for sure.
He'd ban gay marriage instantly.
Instantly, executive order.
Executive order, ban gay marriage.
Gay conversion therapy is a requirement.
Yeah.
That's funny, man.
I don't know. I don't think people would freak out, to be honest.
Really? Wow.
Maybe there might be maybe a day or two of panic.
Yeah.
But
The stock market would
doubt.
just incinerate itself, dude. Alone, the coronavirus alone, even just now, is just shit. The stock market is shitting. It's down 10% or something like that. Or the
Yeah.
Dow Jones is down 10% for sure. I know. We've reached the stock market has fallen to where it was in 2016 before Trump was elected, which is just
Yeah.
unbelievable. This is on the level of the 2008 recession. Not quite as bad because that was on a longer time scale, but
Yeah.
in terms of how much revenue was lost for shareholders, it's on that
Yeah.
level. And of course, we on the show, we don't give a fuck about shareholders at all, but these kind of economic hardships have a way of hitting poor people the hardest somehow, even though we gain
Yeah.
nothing when it's really doing really well. So it's a bad situation for poor people.
But I mean, going back to Super Tuesday, basically, if you're a Bernie supporter, don't lose hope. Once again, sucks that I'm having to say this for the second time.
Well, the debate is coming up. Today is
Yeah.
Saturday. We're recording this a little bit late.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is Sunday, and Bernie's gonna have an opportunity to eviscerate
To really
Sleepy Joe on stage.
I've speculated that I think Bernie can really fucking pull back if he destroys Joe on stage, and Bernie needs to go after Joe viciously. He can't just have the
Yes.
moral high ground anymore. If he
Absolutely.
wants to fucking win, he has to come at Joe, and he has to come at Joe hard.
Absolutely. All this bullshit about how Joe is his friend, it doesn't scan with anyone because he's not our friend. He's not a progressive ally at all. And of course, we all know that, but the American people need to know that because right now they don't. And I think the coronavirus is actually it's very
it's a
bad to
horrible
say,
thing,
but it's
but
a
Medicare
great
for all.
opportunity.
For
Exactly. Yes, it's a
Medicare for all.
great. It's a great test run for Bernie to basically say, look around you right now. You need my policies for you and your
Yes.
family. And it's just the truth. It's the reality of the situation. So he really needs to ride hard on that and just dom Biden in this fucking
Yep.
debate. He needs to wipe the floor with him. This
Yeah.
is basically his last chance. I don't want to be a doomer, but it's not
Yeah,
looking good.
This is his last
His
chance
chances
to
are
really-
low.
Yeah, this is his last chance to really put it back, I feel.
Yes, absolutely. And
If
he
really
needs to
wants
go
to
hard.
get those fucking delegates.
Yep, absolutely. And unfortunately, like I think that right now, Sanders, like I love the guy's policies and I love him as a person. I think he's a great guy. But like right now, I really honestly think that in the back of his mind, he's thinking, this is over. Like he's ready to give up. And I think that he believes that he can push Joe to the left on issues, and he's ready to try to push Joe and then drop out. And I hope that he doesn't do that, because he doesn't need to do that. We need him in office, really, and we need his policies. And I hope that he does not make that
What if
decision.
like Bernie's like, listen, I'll drop out and endorse you if you give everyone Medicare for all.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine some kind of scenario like that happening, and honestly, that wouldn't be terrible, because of course,
Like
we would get
that,
Medicare
it's
for
like
all out of it.
it's like the the thing we were talking about. It's like the slow, like if you we'll get to the change like we're looking for in life, like, but we might get it in our fucking 30s, like, but
Yeah,
eventually we'll get it. But
exactly.
like
And
we
like
want change now.
right, exactly. I don't want to push this narrative that like change always happens for the better, because that's just absolutely not true. Like we have to fight for it. And like if it turns out that Biden concedes on Medicare for all and gives in to that demand for the American people, like it might just be that that's the best that we can do in 2020, and that's all
Yeah.
we're going to get out of it. And like I don't want to think that, and I don't want to believe that, but if that's all we can get right now, that's all we can get right now. And like it's hard to fight for these progressive values in the system that we live in, because of the voter suppression, the low voter turnout among young people, and just a litany of problems that mean that fighting for left values at the ballot box is extremely difficult. And honestly, like if we can get Medicare for all in any form, as long as it's free at the point of service and all of that stuff, all that amazing stuff that Bernie's pushing for, if we can get that, that's going to be a win no matter what. So I
Yeah.
hope that Bernie really fights hard for that.
Super Tuesday though. Pretty much sums it up, right?
Yeah, pretty much sums it up. Bernie, go hard.
Bernie, go hard. Don't lose faith for the second time.
Yeah, donate. Phone bank. It's not over. It's absolutely not over.
Up to Bernie now. There's little that we can do other than show that we still support him and that he needs to fucking mop floor with Biden on Sunday.
Absolutely. And another thing too, I want to say, like on this show, we are still never Joers. Like that's not going to change. And I would like to recommend though, if Bernie does not secure the nomination, I recommend that you don't not vote. I recommend that you still vote and vote down ballot on Dems, at least ones that are progressive in some way, because that actually does have a real effect, and it will prevent more like fascist policies from being pushed in Congress. And I think that actually is valuable. And I think it sends an important message too. If you go to vote and you leave the president blank, but you vote for all the other shit, I mean that's a message in and of itself. Like I think that is an important message for us to send to the DNC and to everyone else. So I implore everyone to go vote in November, regardless of who you're voting for. And I would say also don't vote for Joe.
Yep. If Joe gets the nominations, I will not be showing up to the polls.
Absolutely. Yep.
But yeah, with Super Tuesday out of the way, very depressing. But on to even more depressing news. Fucking Corona, dude. Shit, Donald Trump has announced a national emergency for Corona.
Yeah, so David and I actually watched that speech together, and we were sitting in. Yeah, I mean, it was ridiculous. First of all, I want to say, fucking that podium is a petri dish filled with fucking Corona, dude. They may
Trump's
as well
like
have
Trump, who's a fucking sleeper who has Corona fucking sleeping in his system. He's like,
yeah.
Oh, let me get that for you, my
let me deep throat this mic real quick before you go on stage. Like, fuck, man. Literally, he shook hands with every fucking idiot that came up to stage there, except for that one CVS guy that decided to elbow bump him, and then immediately touched the podium anyway and infect himself. Like, oh my god.
Just being near Donald Trump, if he is affected, they could just catch it, since it's his fucking.
You don't need to make out with someone to get it. Yeah, you can literally just get like a tiny bit of something on you.
Just literally talking to someone, and he might get infected by Corona. And I was watching that fucking Joe Rogan where he talks to that one doctor, and that guy speculates that everyone in the world might get Corona.
Yeah,
honestly,
that's the current projection.
I don't fucking doubt it, dude.
Yeah, I think
it's so viral.
A lot of scientists are saying like 40 to 70% are going to get it in the next 12 months, which is just an absolutely staggering number. Because I mean, if that were true, even with the current like mortality rate, we're talking about millions of deaths in the next year from this disease.
Yeah,
and like that is just absolutely terrifying.
If half the United States get it with a 1% mortality rate, that means 1.5 million people will die from coronavirus in the next year.
Yeah, and honestly, this is it's a failure of our government. Like I want to talk about another thing too. I want to talk about China, and I want to talk about like this weird Western obsession with the way that China has handled this. First of all, I want to say that obviously on the show we don't agree with like silencing journalists. Like we don't agree with authoritarianism. We're fucking socialists. Of course, we don't agree with that. But as far as like their response to the virus, like today in Wuhan, they released a statement saying that there have only been 12 additional cases reported in the past 24 hours. And they have actually been able to shut down some of the extra hospitals that they built because they don't need them anymore, because they were able to contain the virus. And that's the place where it started. And they were able to have that level of progress in just over 2 months.
I mean, I wouldn't totally give China 100% like fucking good boy points for this. I mean, they handled it poorly when it first broke out.
Yeah. They handled it poorly in terms of the way that they silenced people, the way that they prevented people from speaking up, prevented people from releasing information.
And that's probably like what fucked. Like, I mean, since it originated in Wuhan, right?
I mean, to a certain extent, I agree with that. I think that they should have done better in the beginning. But like at the end of the day, like what if you get hit by like a pandemic like this? It's inevitable that it's going to spread throughout your country and throughout the world, because like when you're talking about a disease with this level of transmission and like contagiousness, it's impossible to contain it unless you literally are just executing everyone who has it and being like unbelievably careful. And like, I mean, that's just not possible, especially in a country with that amount of population. But like, because of the fact that they have such control over their citizens, whether you agree or disagree with that, I think we would probably more disagree with that. But the reason, or because of that, they were able to contain the virus. And I think that they actually did a really good job, minus all the silencing that they did. And I think that we have something to learn from them in terms of like looking out for our fellow Americans, in the sense that they didn't leave their houses. They didn't do what boomers are doing right now, where they're literally still going to like fucking cruises and like nighttime events and stuff, and dancing with each other.
It's only 50% off on whole plane tickets, dude. Gotta get that deal.
Speaking of like Florida, where David lives, like there was this fucking like health official that went to the Villages in Florida, which is basically where all the rich white people go to retire. Like we're talking about the average age in the Villages is like 60 plus or something. And like she went there and shook hands with everyone. She goes, "I'm a handshaker. Nothing's gonna change that. Not even a virus." I'm like you literally could have just killed like 80% of the population of this fucking neighborhood. You understand that, right? It's absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy. And like as the days go by, there's only like the chance of you getting corona only increases.
Yeah. Did they end up shutting down your school, David?
Yeah, I mean they extended our spring break to the 29th.
Oh wow, that's awesome. So you have a little free break action going on. I go to UT in Knoxville, and like they shut down our school as well. Basically, our spring break was scheduled to start on Friday, like 2 days ago Friday. And they just shut us down. They said after spring break, we're not coming back. So we're changing all of our classes to online.
Oh, really?
And yeah, they made all of the teachers, basically, they gave them like a less than 2 day notice and told them, like after spring break, you're transitioning up the whole shit. Yeah, literally. Like a couple of my classes. Your whole
curriculum, fucking God, what's it called?
Syllabus. Yeah.
Syllabus. Fuck.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. One of my classes actually canceled an exam, and we only have 2 exams in that class. She's like, I have no choice but to cancel this exam. We're going to roll it all into the final exam. So I have a class going on right now where 85% of my grade is the final exam. And I'm shitting myself now.
That's
fucking coronavirus,
man. Corona time.
Corona time. I got a case of Corona in the fridge. And I don't know, man. It's really terrifying. And like I was saying when we first started, like I called out of work just to protect myself and other people, because I'm really worried that I have it. There was a confirmed case on campus just before we went to spring break.
Like who knows how many people that person infected.
Exactly, right? And I could be one of them. I had no idea.
And since you live like such a close proximity, like you know, since I
Everyone
even
I'm
I
around.
even I live an hour away from Orlando, like
Yeah.
it's only days until I get it probably.
Exactly, yeah. And you can only avoid people so much. Like my girlfriend and I went and stocked up on like 2 weeks worth of shit just in case we need
Yeah,
to
I
like
saw
stay here
that
for
she
two
bought
weeks.
like so much alcohol, dude.
Yeah, yeah, because
What was it?
we're
So
big
much wine?
we're big wine drinkers in this house.
Oh
So
my god.
she got us like, a fucking 12 bottles of wine to hold us
Yeah.
over for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, fucking
Yeah.
high levels of alcohol kills corona, bro.
Exactly, man. Just gargle some nice high proof liquor and spit
Yeah,
it out. Boom.
fucking
Cured.
a little bit in
Liberal.
your lungs. Yeah.
Yeah. Just
Fuck.
aspirate, get pneumonia, and then fucking die. I'm actually excited about going to online classes though. Like, it'll be nice to have a little break. That's my worst part, like being a college student, is actually going to class. And I hate the fact
Through
that it
waking
took a
up and going to
fucking
class.
yeah, it took a
But
worldwide pandemic for me to like be like, yeah, I'll go to class, fine. But I'm interested. The biggest thing I'm interested in is how I'm gonna learn Japanese because this is my final semester of Japanese that I
mhm.
have to take, and it's such a hard class. It's kicking my ass every day, and like now we're moving to online, and we're not even gonna be able to talk to each other, and like I don't know. I have no idea how that's gonna turn out.
Yeah, it's gonna sounds like a bliss. But what I wanted to talk about was the bill that the House passed, the Corona relief package. Did you
Yeah.
hear about that?
Yes, I did.
Um,
Pelosi.
yeah, they passed it, but here's the fucking catch. It only applies to corporations with less than 500 employees. So
Yeah.
basically, it only applies to 18% of Americans.
Yeah, I read 20%, so yeah, that sounds about right. Like only 20% of workers it applies to. And even then, like it sunsets in a year, meaning that after a year from today, when they
And
or
it's only
a
two
year
weeks,
from
right?
whenever they pass it, it's only 2 weeks. What?
Was the only 2 weeks of sick days?
Yeah, basically every person will have 14 protected emergency sick leave days that their company cannot fire them for. And they'll continue to receive pay as well. But the problem with that is we have no idea how long this pandemic is going to last. Like it could
Yeah,
be
that
longer
guy
than a
on Joe
year.
Rogan said that this isn't a fucking, you know, a seasonal. This is gonna go away in 3 months. Like he
Right.
says, the vaccine might not be developed for a whole year.
Exactly. Yeah,
So
and I
corona's here to
read that
stay.
too. I read that from a Japanese like health official article fucking paper thing. I read that yeah, it could take up to a year for them to synthesize a vaccine. So I mean, we're talking about a time scale that's just unbelievable and an amount of human suffering that is kind of like
Right, and
unfathomable.
like only going to work is like it's like it sucks, but like going to work, you might get sick. Literally just fucking living, like going
Yeah.
to work, having to go to work.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I'll talk about my work a little bit. I work in a place that is in the top 5 of companies in the United States. I'll say that. And basically, like I called the corporate office of this company and I asked them what their policy was, and they said that they are upping they're going to be sanitizing stores. To protect customers and associates, and basically they're doing is asking associates to stay home if they're sick, and like but that's the problem is that even if you're not sick, you can spread the disease or you can catch it and not know for up to
Yeah,
2 weeks. Like
yeah,
the
like you won't
average
show
time,
symptoms and still spread it.
exactly, exactly. The average time before you show symptoms is 6 days. So, and that's the average time. It can be up to 2 weeks, and some scientists are saying like it can stay in your system for over a month. So, like these people have no idea that they're infecting people, and I work with food. So like if I have it, I'm infecting people, and like a lot of old people come to my store, and like I could be responsible for the deaths of these people, and like it just really rubbed me the wrong way. And so that's ultimately why I called out today, and I plan on doing so again next weekend.
Yeah,
And I think it's absolutely ridiculous that these companies that are literally some of the richest corporations in North America like
yeah,
are just denying
yeah. It's
their
so
workers
fucked.
basic human rights. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, fucking. I'll talk about how my workplace, probably one of the top 5 pizza chains, how they're trying to do it is like they're having us like wipe down like the entire store every 2 hours basically, like
Yeah.
wiping down the entire store, like desanitizing it. But like that's gonna do nothing in terms of like if our workers, our coworkers,
Right.
my crew members, like if they get infected or not. Like that's not
Exactly.
gonna do
And
anything.
if anything, like those people that are cleaning those areas are at the most risk of contracting the disease because while you're doing all of that, like, oops, I touched my face. Now you have it. And then every
Yeah.
pizza you make after that, you're infecting a new person or a new family.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so negligent. It's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
and like you know, a cashier has to be there. So if a cashier
Right.
fucking is in contact, you know, constantly with our customers,
Yeah.
they can get it, not show symptoms, come into work the next day, infect that crew, and you
Yep.
know, that crew infects their families.
Yeah.
It's, you know, just
Yeah.
it spreads.
It's just unbelievable.
And,
And
you
like
know,
like
the fucking, they're sitting in their cozy offices, you know, not having to worry about, you know, the customers that, you know, we fucking interact with every day. You know,
Exactly.
they profit from it.
exactly, the people making these policies are the ones at the lowest risk of actually fucking contracting the disease. That's the worst part about it. It's like so that they have no like fucking they have no encouragement to actually
Honestly,
care
I've been thinking
the
about
customer-
fucking
or the system.
unionizing fucking my workplace.
Honestly, bro, you should. That would be
I feel like
insane if
as a
you managed to
manager,
do
I could
that.
feel like I'd do it. And since we're like our store makes the most money in our area compared to all the other store, like our region, like I feel like, you know, like what are you gonna do? Fire the entire fucking like everybody? I mean,
I mean,
they
maybe.
might fucking try.
Yeah, they might do it. You never know. But
But-
honestly, I think it's worth it. The struggle is worth it.
Yeah, the hardest
should-
part
you
would
should see
probably
what you can
getting
do.
people on board. I was talking to I was trying to, you know, fucking, I'm sowing the seeds of socialism in some of my crew members.
Yeah.
So I actually have a story of one of my crew members that's fucking speaking about absolutely insane. But you know, I won't talk about after we're done talking about Corona here. But yeah, basically, you know, sowing the seeds of socialism in at least two of them. You know, the other one's a little younger, so he still believes that billionaires and millionaires, or billionaires at least, deserve the money that they have. So I feel like that's like
He's
the
not
main
grizzled
problem.
enough yet.
Like that's the main problem. Like if you believe that a billionaire deserves the money they make, like you can't start believing the other things. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It takes a certain level of deprogramming to reach that point, though, and like I think it is important to be patient with people.
Yeah.
So like, you know, especially young people too. I run into this issue with my brothers a lot. Like they're young, they don't understand a lot of things, and they like it's a big leap for them to be like, yeah, Bill Gates, the guy who donates like a ton of his wealth to charity. It's a big leap for them to say, well, this guy's actually kind of not the good guy that I thought he was. You know, it's
Yeah.
hard to think something like that when you've been programmed literally to think the opposite. So it is
Yeah.
important to be patient, but I think you're doing good work, man. You're really building up our fucking base, you know?
Yeah, I mean, fucking, someone has to do it, bro. Like,
Hell
I
yeah,
feel
why
like
not
from
us?
a manager position, you know, I'm able to do more things that, you know, if you weren't able to. Because I'm not a manager. I try to be a crew member that just has to fucking, you know, listen to, you know, fucking what the big boys tell me to do, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, like as long as shit gets done at the end of the day, I let the crew do whatever they want. You know, it's like if you want to fucking
Exactly.
smoke for 15 minutes, go ahead, man. Like,
Hell yeah. Are
you're
you
not gonna
so
let
are
them
like
exploit you.
so like let's say that you had a magic wand and you could change like what your particular company was doing. Like what would you recommend they do to stop this virus? Like what do you think is the right thing to do?
Close down.
Yeah. I think I agree, honestly. Like especially places like that, like places that are just not necessary, like pizza restaurants and you know, certain grocery chains as well. Like honestly, like everywhere should shut down for like the next 2 months basically. And the only
Except
things
for
that
like
should stay open
necessities.
are essential places like pharmacies, like and a few grocery stores in every area, just to you know help people get the things that they need. And also, like speaking of grocery stores, let's talk too about the fact that people are literally hoarding fucking
Toilet
everything right now.
papers.
Yeah,
That's the
toilet
fucking
paper's the
meme of
big
the
one.
week today, bro.
Yeah,
Fucking collecting toilet papers.
yeah, toilet
Dude,
paper's the big
ugh.
one, but that's not it. Like hand sanitizer,
Yeah.
face mask, like, all that stuff. You
And
can,
they're
literally
price
cannot get
gouging. They're price gouging fucking hand sanitizer, dude.
it. Yeah, I read
That's
about a guy
insane.
in Tennessee where I live that drove all the way around the state, like from west to east of Tennessee, buying every hand sanitizer, every toilet paper he could. Spent over $150,000,
No fucking
like
way.
getting all of this shit.
For
And then he tried
what?
to resell it on Amazon, and they
Uh,
banned his account, and he can't resell it. So he has literally pallets, like a garage full of like cleaning
God.
supplies that he can't get rid of.
People
Fucking
who
rat,
try
dude.
to fucking profit off of like disease and fucking
Human
war,
suffering,
like are just the worst type of people, dude.
scum of
And
the
they have a
earth.
fucking special place in my gulag.
Yes, absolutely, man. Honestly, like these people are fucking cockroaches, dude. It disgusts me. Absolutely. Like it made me happy to see that a lot of people just naming and shaming. Like that guy in Tennessee, like he's basically famous now for doing this shit. And like he released a he like someone one of our local news places interviewed him, and he said like I don't want to be known as the guy hoarding fucking toilet paper and hand sanitizer. Well, guess what, you fucking idiot. Now all you're known for is doing that.
Right? Fuck
Unbelievable.
you.
Seriously,
Uh,
fucking rat.
God.
Yeah, yeah.
First and
Dude,
last
like,
name and address, please.
yeah,
Fuck.
okay, let me get a social on that one. Parody.
God.
Yeah,
Oh
but
fuck.
like
Yeah.
on my shift, like earlier this week, just before even really everything popped off, before Trump even declared the emergency, like there was nothing on the shelves. Like I work with food, and like I came in, everything in the back room was empty to the point where I asked my manager, I was like, "Can I just dip out of here? Like I've not, there's no, there, we're out of stock on everything. It's totally
It's
empty."
like,
And
nah, you're gonna have to stay and get infected.
nah, they let me go. My managers are pretty
Oh,
chill, but
damn,
like
nice.
the corporate people are really the ones that don't give a shit about us. Like
Yeah.
I cannot believe I called the head office and I asked them what to do if I think that like someone that I could potentially have been in contact with someone with the disease, and they said just go like make sure to monitor your own health and stay home if you get sick. It's like just that alone just shows that they have a fundamental misunderstanding of how this fucking disease works, and it's why
Right?
every fucking boomer in this country is gonna die.
Like,
It's
I can't
unbelievable.
believe that was the response. Like, the first thing I would do is like, all right, I'm gonna need your first and last name.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, like which store have you been working
like,
in? Like let me figure
yeah,
out
like
like
what
who
the
has been.
fuck? Like, who
Yeah.
you've been in contact with? Like, absolutely fucking. That has to be negligence, dude.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And like there's so many old people that come into. I'm really worried about it. Like I can't be the guy that fucking kills like 20 old people just because I was putting, cucumbers
God.
on the shelf and they felt particularly
If
hungry for
only
cucumbers
like
that day.
everyone had like a number above their head on how many fucking old people they killed because they infected someone else.
Yeah, because they decided to go on a fucking like cruise or like my girlfriend's parents today. Oh my god, they're pissing me off so bad. My girlfriend was planning on going home. I'll let you talk about your coworker after this, but I gotta
Yeah.
get this off my chest.
I have one more thing
Uh,
to talk about Corona before this as
okay,
well.
my girlfriend like was planning on visiting her parents because we're on spring break, right? And she was really excited about it, and like of course I am too. I want her to see her parents, and but like we had a pretty long conversation, and we both agreed like it's just not safe. It's not a good idea for her to go home. Like her parents are living around the Nashville area, and it's not. It doesn't make sense for her to go home right now. It's not a smart choice. So she called her mom and canceled, and it really upset her mom, and her mom has literally been sending her fucking like Facebook like fucking memes like shit from Alex Jones like YouTube channel, literally talking about how like
uh,
this is all a government hoax and like we're all gonna be fine, like no big deal. Like remember
that's
what they said
hilarious.
about swine
I heard that
flu
our
and
friend
stuff.
Matt like had the kind of the same problem.
Yeah, yeah. Like I don't know what it is about boomers. Like they just want to die. Like it's absolutely insane. They want to die.
How dare you fucking care about my health?
Seriously, like they just don't want to take it seriously. It's absolutely insane, and like it scares me. Like I'm worried about my girlfriend's parents. I'm worried about my
Yeah.
parents. I'm worried about my grandparents, and I don't know how to convince them that this is a serious thing that they need to take seriously.
I don't fucking know. Like, I guess someone important has to die. Maybe Donald Trump does need to die. Fuck.
Yeah, maybe. Fucking hopefully. I
Take
mean, he
one
could
for
be
the
the best
team.
one. Yeah,
But
be
yeah.
the fucking leader we needed you to be.
The last thing I have to say about Corona is so when they were doing the live stream on YouTube, they were talking about how they were teaming up with Google to make that website that was supposed to. There was supposed to be more information tomorrow, so an
Yeah.
update on that next podcast. But like, I think it's kind of fucking dumb, or like. I don't know. It's just weird to me that we have to look to a corporation for help to deal
Yeah.
with this problem that we have.
Absolutely.
And like, what are the implications? So like, now Google's like, all right, U.S. government, you owe us. Like,
Yeah.
what's next? Like, basically, how's the government gonna incorporate, with other corporations now in the future?
Yeah, and I think that really was not. It couldn't have been more clear because you remember that flow chart that fucking health woman pulled
Yeah,
up
the
to show
most like
people what to
simple
do.
flowchart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the dumbest fucking simple flow chart ever. Which I mean, it is simple on what to do, but
If you're
still,
not
it's
infected,
absurd.
you're not infected.
Exactly, and it's like it was absurdly simplistic, but also like it referred to Americans as consumers. Like, is that really how far into the fucking capitalist hellscape that we've descended into, that we're referring to our citizens not as citizens or as Americans, we're referring to
Consumer.
them as consumers. It's unbelievable. And just the panel of
Nice.
fucking CEOs that Trump had behind him, instead of health professionals and scientists, he had fucking Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, all these
Wait,
fucking
really?
CEOs. Yeah,
Oh, I thought.
all those
I thought
people
that
were
was his
standing behind
cabinet.
him.
I don't know anybody.
No, those were all fucking corporate owners of these
Oh, really?
companies standing behind him, talking about what they're gonna do to help. And like, I love this framing too. Is like it's shown as like altruism, like something that these companies are doing out of the kindness of their heart. Like, that's why I love
Oh my
Sanders'
God.
response today. He did a live stream on Twitch where he like the question came up like, what would you have done if you were Donald Trump? It's like he said that I absolutely would not have teamed up with these corporations. The first thing I would have done is told them like, hey, here's what you're gonna make. Here's what you're gonna do
Yes.
for Americans. Like, this is what you're gonna do for us because we need this right now, and you don't have a choice. And I like that kind of rhetoric because like that is what we need. Like, these companies need to be working for us, not doing things out of the kindness of our hearts to make
Yes.
to make a profit in the in the short term. It's absolutely absurd.
Yeah,
And
like as
I'm
soon
glad
as
you
that was
brought that up.
announced, as soon as that was announced that they were gonna be working with Google, I'm like, wait, this is super fucking sketch.
Yeah.
Like, we really have to look to corporations as a fucking, to help us in this crisis.
Exactly.
It's a slippery slope, I feel.
Yeah, and declaring a state of national emergency gives the federal government the power to dictate like what companies in this country do, but instead they're choosing to rely on the kind-heartedness of these multinational
Yeah,
fucking
and now
corporations.
like hopefully when we get over these hurdles, that these corporations are going to be glorified in the media.
Yeah, as our saviors. Yeah, it's just, and they know that, of course. Like, otherwise they wouldn't choose to do this risky thing. And
It's
I'm
good
sure, like, I'm
advertisement,
not.
dude.
Yeah, and I don't mean to paint all these people as evil. Like, I don't think that all these people are evil in their heart of hearts. You know what I mean? But just the
Yeah.
fact is that this is not the
They're
time to
opportunistic.
ask. Yes, exactly. It's not the time to ask. It is the time to direct, because we have certain
Yes.
needs that need to be met, and if they're not met, innocent people will die, and that's just the end of
Yeah.
the statement. And that should be it. It shouldn't
Mhm.
even be a question after that.
But fuck, that's Corona though.
Yep.
You know,
That's
we
Corona
talked
for you,
about
baby.
we talked about last week or 2 weeks ago. I talked about we should probably talk about like Corona Weekly, and it'll be interesting to see the updates.
I really kind of
And
brushed
I
that
did-
statement
yeah,
off.
Yeah, and I
Yeah, because I
really-
didn't think, I was like, oh, this is
Yeah.
gonna be fine, no big deal,
Yeah,
like.
Corona's gonna be a big deal. It's gonna, this is kind of a stupid segment to have. It's only gonna
Yeah.
happen. But then actually everything starts popping off, and I'm like, holy shit,
Yeah.
we might
It
have to
seemed
talk
like
about Corona every week.
in a 2-day span, it seemed to like really get serious.
Yeah,
All
because
of a sudden,
Italy shutting down, Italy possibly going to lockdown. I don't know if they are already in lockdown.
They did, yeah. They completely shut down. All of northern Italy is completely closed.
mortgages. Yeah, like didn't they stop mortgages on?
Yeah,
shit,
mortgage
too?
payments are canceled. Which, by the way, we should do that too. It's
Yeah,
weird.
we
that
only
haven't.
have the school interest. But I
Yeah,
don't think we
student
covered
loan
that.
interest. Oh, we didn't even talk about that.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that Trump did. He canceled interest on only on federal student loans. He canceled
fucking
interest
believable.
only. That's
Like
it. That's
the
all
man
we
can
got.
do whatever he wants right now, and he's like,
Yeah.
what, only the interest. They still need to make money. Like, fuck
Yeah.
off, dude.
Yeah, seriously, the national emergency gives him such broad powers to just basically abuse the presidency at times like this.
He's like
when
a
we really
king
need
right
it.
now.
Yeah,
And he can do whatever the fuck he wants, and he's like just the interest, only
yeah,
federal.
fucking absurd, man.
Oh fuck, dude.
But yeah, well, I look forward
Corona.
to next podcast when we can give you another update on how the world
God.
is ending.
And it's only gonna get fucking worse.
Yeah, it's gonna get a
God.
lot worse before it gets better. Buckle in, be safe out there, wash your hands,
Yeah.
minimize your contact.
Isolate
with
yourself.
people. Yes, if you can, isolate yourself. I understand a lot of people can't. That's true. I barely can. I'm barely financially stable enough to do it. If you're not, I'm very sorry, but be careful. Try to help out people that you
Sell your
can.
stocks.
Try not to infect everyone. Yeah, no, don't sell your stocks. In fact, if you have capital, probably now's a good time to invest in the stock market. Although if you do that, you're probably a fucking worm anyway. So be gone from my podcast. But yeah, like actually, it would be a good time to buy stocks right now, from an economist point of view. Not that I'm an economist.
What do you mean, bro? You went to school for it?
I mean, I did, but I don't like calling myself that. It feels wrong.
You know,
I'm not one of them.
It's like philosophy 101. I'm a philosopher. You know, no big deal.
No big deal. NBD, bro. Anyway.
Wrote my paper on Pluto.
The lonely planet. The loneliest planet.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, so I want to talk about my coworker. So my coworker, he stated, let me state this. My coworker was not under the influence of any drugs when he said that this story happened. And I'm just going to take that, take his word for it.
Important preface.
And he said he wasn't on alcohol or anything. He was a sober man. So apparently, I didn't catch the full story, and actually I wanted to talk to him tonight. I wanted him to tell me this, retell it to me again so I can remember it, so I can restate it accurately. But the gist of the story is that he had a friend who was really into the Mexican black magic. And
what? Wait. What is that?
I don't fucking know, dude.
Okay.
And one night, they went out and they were looking up in the sky, and apparently his friend conjured up a portal in the sky, like making an area of the sky like black, like all the stars in that area like turned black. And basically he was telling him, bro, he's like, bro, if you keep on doing this black magic.
You're joking.
I'm not joking right now. If you keep on doing this black magic, dude, like the fucking darkness is gonna consume you, and like if you don't stop, I'm basically like he was threatened to fucking magically fight him, right? Because he's also like a wizard. Like,
okay.
I asked him like, wait, are you like a wizard? He didn't fucking. I guess he's not technically a wizard, but fucking he does believe in magic, and like apparently in the next 24 hours he said that person died.
What?
Yeah.
Wait. The guy who conjured the portal?
Yeah, died in the next 24 hours after that conversation.
Did he magic him? Wait, should we release this?
I mean, I didn't give out any names, but anyway, but like
that's true. They don't know.
But I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Like, here I am, like fucking putting pepperonis on a pizza, and I hear this guy like he said I fucking threatened to fucking have a fucking wizard fight essentially. And I was like, no, dude, you have to tell me this story like later. I need to hear the whole story. But unfortunately, I totally forgot. But God, if I talk like next time I see him, I need to get that full story. But
yeah.
Magic, dude.
What?
No way. Like he says, yeah, I usually tell people because they don't believe me. Like, I mean, bro.
You don't say.
Oh, fucking sorry for
not
believing
him that he wasn't on drugs. Is he like a regular drug user?
Well, he has done meth before, but I'm not gonna judge him based on that.
Hey man, I don't judge your journey. If meth is what gets you going, man, that's what gets you going.
But
I recommend less hard stuff, but
he said he was sober, and I don't know why he would lie. There's no reason to lie here.
Yeah. I mean, he seems like a true believer, and I certainly am not going to question him because I don't want to get fucking killed.
Fucking speaking about things that are hard to believe, we are potentially going to be able to contact a real flat earther.
Yes. I'm actually so excited about this. I'm planning on getting in contact with him tomorrow and trying to set up this interview.
So, flat earther episode next week, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. And okay, I want to just say, like, we're not gonna make fun of the guy. We're not gonna. It's not.
We're gonna be very impartial.
Yes, it's like, to be clear, David and I are not flat earthers. We think it's ridiculous. We think the Earth is obviously round. But the thing is, like, we're both fascinated with this culture of flat earthers. We really are interested in this like kind of insular group that they have going on. We want to get into the mind of a flat earther. So this is not going to be some kind of fucking assassination where we gang up on the guy at all. We plan on giving him as much respect as possible, just to be clear. But yeah, that should be coming up soon. I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, there should be a lot of good fucking content coming up soon. We also plan I don't know why I'm saying this now, but clips and shit. We're gonna be posting more clips to our YouTube.
Hell yeah.
New gameplay podcast.
Yeah, now that we're quarantined at home, there's gonna be this endless stream of content just flowing out, dude.
Fuck.
Honestly, this is a good time to be a podcaster, man.
Oh yeah, fucking staying indoors, staying away from people.
Hell yeah.
But I feel like, do you have anything else to bring up, really?
Nah, man, I'm ready to expand our minds even further.
Okay, philosophy. At the at the end of every week, if you're new to the podcast, welcome. Thank you for listening thus far. But at the end of the week, we like to talk about philosophy. All right. Always want to expand brained meme. All right.
Yeah, indeed. Marianne Williamson got the orbs flowing.
Yeah. But the question that I want to talk about this week might be a short one. Who knows?
That's fine.
Can life be meaningful without friends? Can your life have a meaning without friends? I don't know. It's what do you think before I give my opinion on this?
Well, my opinion is tainted by Marxist-Leninism. But I, just setting aside my political beliefs, I want to just say I really think that yes, it is impossible to exist in a meaningful way without you're using the word friends, but I would just say a society, basically, of people that you associate with, people you know. One of my favorite professors ever, who I took, I don't remember what the number was, but it's some intermediate sociology class, told me there is no self without society. And I really honestly believe that stuck with me from that class. And I really realized at that moment that we are who we are because of the context that we live in and because of the connections that we make with people. And for that reason, I would say it is not possible to have a meaningful life without connections with other people, whether you want to call that friends or whatever.
Yeah, interesting that you this is kind of the exact place where my mind went to, is that if you are in contact with anybody, you practically had, and you don't interact with people, right? How could your life be meaningful if you don't affect anybody? Right. If you were to if you lived your life and without interacting with anybody, and not interact with other people or change someone's affecting someone else's life, essentially, right? Right. You basically had no impact. And did you even do those actions that you did during your life?
Right.
Even if
exactly.
it made you happy,
who even are you? Did you even exist? If you don't exist within a context like that,
yeah. And I pretty much agree. Yeah.
I think that it's actually a super interesting question, though, and I think a lot of people disagree about this. We're agreeing right now, but I think a lot of people would disagree. A lot of people would say, "Well, no, it's more individualistic."
Yeah, it's if you live a happy life, you
right.
If you're happy, that's all that matters. But honestly, I don't think you basically had no impact on you. Did
exactly,
not, and we're talking about meaningful. So yes, you may have lived a happy life, but you didn't live a meaningful life if you didn't affect any other people, another person.
Right, and I think that a good way to look at it is to abstract it even more than that, and just be try to imagine yourself existing outside of any society whatsoever. Let's say you were born in a fucking cave, and that's it. There's no other creatures, no other human beings, and somehow you subsist in this cave on your own. What would you look like? What would you sound like? What language would you develop? What kind of interactions would you have? You can't, it's not possible for you to imagine that, because existing outside of that cultural societal context is just, it's not a concept that a human being can understand. Can't
what do deaf people even do? They have a voice in their head like most people do? You know what I mean?
I've heard actually that deaf people think in sign language, whenever
really visualize it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking crazy.
That is really crazy. And of course, they can just think abstractly, just like we can, right? But when you're talking to yourself,
yeah,
their language to them is sign language. So I've heard that. I'm not sure how true it is because I'm not deaf, but who knows? That's actually a good example though, because they're constructing their own version of reality. But even that is tainted by the society that they live in, right? So let's say you were born deaf.
There's the ASL and there's the different sign languages.
Exactly, yeah. If you were born in a cave as a deaf person and didn't have contact with the outside world, you would never develop any language. You would have no idea that sound was even a thing that exists in the world. You would have no concept of this, and there would be no society to help you or expose you to these ideas. And yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting thought, and I recommend that people read about this case where I don't remember her name, and I'm really kicking myself, but I'm going to describe it, and if you Google it, you'll automatically find it. It's basically this case of a girl that was kept in basically a broom closet.
I forgot what they're called.
Yeah. She was kept in a broom closet basically for like the first 12 years of her life, and it was a tragic event, of course, because a young girl, basically her life was ruined.
Yeah.
But it was a really important sociological experiment, so to speak, because like that she
lost so many years of like her developmental years. Like.
Exactly. She demonstrated what it would be like for a human being to develop outside of that culture, and she effectively was never able to live a normal life because she existed outside of culture, outside of society, and she had no like basis for what reality was.
I think she died younger too.
She did, yeah. She died early because of like the mental and physical problems that she developed because of her isolation. And it's an absolutely tragic story, but it's really interesting because it kind of helps you to imagine, or helps you to realize how much you rely on society, even when you don't realize it.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, that's our philosophy of the week. If you have your own thoughts or opinions or disagree with us, agree with us, I want this to be like more of an interactive thing we can talk about. Maybe someone brings up an interesting point, we bring it up in the next podcast. We can rehash that discussion. So if you make it this far, tweet at us, said I did it at Left in the South, or at the Litz Podcast, or at Left in the South on Twitter.
Hell yeah. DMs are open, ladies.
Hell yeah. If you want to talk to us, if you just want to be on the show, maybe you have an interesting opinion, we'll definitely consider letting you on. We most likely will. Because we are starving for guests. Please get on our podcast. Sure, fuck it. But other than that, I want to thank our Patreon pledgers, Zachary and Grunt980. Appreciate your pledges. We wish you good luck in the Patreon giveaway.
Yep.
And if you're looking to join our Patreon, patreon.com/Left in the South, pledge $1. It will get you into the giveaway, and it will help us greatly.
Absolutely.
And with that, this has been episode 18 of the Left in the South podcast. Goodbye.
Bye.